We are live. I'll be careful with the coke can.
Okay.
This stuff. We're good though. Hold on. I'm excited about today's show.
Me too.
I'm going to go ahead and share this before we go live on the podcast. I'm glad everybody's here. You guys can see who's joining me today. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll go ahead and share this. I'm going to tag you, Ma.
Getter.
Yeah. Tag everybody here. Go down the line. Right. Then we can hit record here.
Okay.
We'll lead off the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Welcome to Super Terb Podcast, which is awesome. And when I say we have an awesome show today, I'm not exaggerating.
And you heard it. That's welcome to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Terbet. You're a local real estate expert with the Ida Terbet Group, Coldwell Banker, HPW, a.k.a. Super Terb, a.k.a. Coach Terb. And I can't be more excited. I finally was able to hold my mom down here to get on the show. She doesn't really need much of an introduction. Just for many of you that are joining me today, this is actually, I'm just making sure we're recording here. Yep. Making sure we're on episode 18 of the Super Terb Podcast. I started this last fall to talk real estate, business, sports, and beer in the Triangle, mainly to feature local entrepreneurs, business owners, in this case, real estate. I talk real estate, we talk beer, we talk business, and just have a good time. And Ida, or Mom, I can't call her Ida. It's too weird. She doesn't need any introduction here. She's been in the real estate game for over 30 years.
34, I'll let you know.
Well, I was just running that up.
Mm-hmm.
She has helped over 10,000 families buy or sell real estate. She has helped, sold over $1 billion in real estate.
Yep.
It's been phenomenal. We moved here in 1986. I don't want to get ahead too much of what we're going to talk about, but we moved here in 1986 when I was 7 years old. And punishment as a kid was looking at houses, putting flyers up with my dad, pictures, you name it, anything real estate related.
And I have to beg him to get in the car with me to go sign a contract, because in those days, there was no dot loop. We didn't even have a fax machine. So we had to physically go and sit down with the sellers to present the offer and get it signed.
Exactly. And so
and
we're going to
cry.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't very fun. And I'm going to get right to the just the real estate portion, which Mom and I, we can more or less do a little back and forth right now. And then we're going to take a little break and then we'll come back because I got to have a little bit of marketing in my commercials through iTunes.
Okay.
The real estate market today. All right. So something I want to touch on, guys. Here's my real estate tip. We all see the coming soon signs. Now, a few months ago, coming soon actually meant coming soon to where you could actually get into the house. People would market their homes live, coming soon, and people would then circle a date in which we could go in and schedule and see a showing. As a matter of fact, we got one going live Friday. We're helping clients. And first thing in the morning, I'm going to schedule a showing to get in there. But what we're seeing is homes selling before it even goes active. Because we're down 68% from a year ago in inventory. Flip side, because of the high demand, low supply.
Never seen it like this ever.
Nope. We're up 12% in our average appreciation for Wake County. Probably some pocket areas of Wake County carry inside the Beltline, probably even 15 to 20%. So what people are doing, because we have 70 people moving here a day, they are making offers sight unseen. They need to be in homes. There's photos. There's the virtual tours. There's the videos. So they have enough information to make that offer. We have Google Earth. We have the floor plans. So what we've had to do now is adjust, and I actually just did this for a client yesterday or 2 days ago, is we did our first tier due diligence offer to purchase. So for many of you guys are watching here, if you're in North Carolina or you've been in the housing market, you guys understand what due diligence means. We have a contract. North Carolina is a due diligence state where we actually have a contract where when you write an offer and you go on a contract, you give the seller a due diligence check or fee, in essence, renting the home while you decide you want to buy it. You go under contract, you give that seller a certain amount of money, and then then you make the decision whether you want to proceed. In this case, because we are getting multiple offers, this due diligence fee is getting into the thousands, if not $10,000s of dollar range to show the sellers how committed you are. Now, when you have a coming soon sign, though, or coming soon listing, agents are not allowed to show this home. If they show one, they have to show all. So what we're doing now is we're getting creative. If you're getting frustrated for not getting that home, we're actually doing what we call a tier due diligence agreement, where we're still going under contract. We still are put our terms together, but we're putting a due diligence check or amount to basically buy us a few days to actually get into the house to make sure my clients want to decide to buy it.
Great idea.
And then after those 72 hours, let's say, then they make that decision, then we give an additional due diligence check moving forward to closing, as well as extending our due diligence date to allow us enough time to perform inspections, appraisals, get loan approval, what have you. So that's what we're seeing in the market. So in saying that, I'm talking to a friend of mine today that's trying to sell a home out of state, or it's a little bit out of our area, for a family member. And he's like, well, my friends, my wife's friends, high school's neighbor is an agent, and they're helping us. And I just stopped him right there. Guys, there's no time in today's market. I always say who you work with matters, right? There's no more evidence than this is who you work with matters in your largest investment. Make sure whoever you hire, hopefully that would be us, but you are talking to people and knowing what they're doing, what their production is, and what they've seen in this market to help you win. We're going to put you in the best position to win. So anyway, that's my real estate topic. We got a lot of movement going on right now, a lot of activity. Feeling good.
I just have allergies.
She's got a little allergies right now.
Cherry blossoms have bloomed.
Yeah, we're recording still. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back on the other side. We're going to have some fun with Ida Terbet. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. Again, I have Ida Terbet here, aka I call her my head coach. She's our team leader of the Ida Terbet group here in Raleigh with the Coldwell Banker HPW. And we're going to have a little bit of fun here. So, Mom, tell everybody like what you did. I mean, coming here from, we're from California. You were always in sales, but when you got to Raleigh, we moved here obviously for my dad. If many don't know, my dad's a retired captain with American Airlines. We moved here for American Airlines. But what made you get into real estate?
Well, actually, we moved from California, and I had already gotten to the point, which you didn't know because you were just a little boy. I had already gone and did the paperwork to start real estate school in California. And when your dad asked me, and to this day, I remember it because he used to always fly from the West Coast to the East Coast. So he'd call around 12 o'clock California time, and or 9 o'clock, it'd be 12 o'clock here. So he called and said, Ida, they've just announced that they're opening a hub in the Carolinas. What do you think about coming? And I'm going there. And I took the phone and I thought, do you want to have an argument tonight, or do I just want to appease the situation? I said, honey, I don't know anything about North Carolina. He said, Ida, I actually soloed my first flight in the Air Force in Kinston, North Carolina, and it's beautiful. Would you at least come and look? And I went, of course I would. We came and honestly fell in love with it. It was warm, and we felt like we could raise our children in a traditional public school and have them go in a neighborhood where they could ride their bikes. But most of all, the Christian and traditional values really showed, and we thought this would be a great place for you to grow up. So I had no idea. We bought probably one of the most expensive homes in Raleigh, but at the time I didn't think about it because we had just moved up on price from California. And if any of you know anything about California, the prices are 3 times more than what our homes are here now. Yeah. So we get here, and I said, well, I'm going to start real estate as soon as I get there. We moved April 26th of 86. And I waited to August because it was an adjustment. You were easy. Colleen was the one that had a little bit of problems. So we made an adventure of experience going to museums and learning the areas. And as soon as the day you started going to school, I started real estate school. But prior to that, I had a clothing store where I met my wonderful husband and his daddy, and I inherited 4 children. And all I know is I couldn't keep the store and take care of the 4 children. Only one lived with us at the time, but there was a lot of dynamics going. And then we had you 9 months and 5 days later after we got married. So
we're getting a lot of information on this.
So we just stayed home. So what made me do it is I always wanted to go into real estate, but I wanted to wait until you and Colleen got old enough. So I started here.
So you joined, and who did you join? What was your first firm?
Coldwell Banker, but no, it was called HPW, Better Homes and Gardens.
And you met somebody there that's still really influential and very close to your
Don Walston, but
He's probably not watching right now, but I'm going to cut this segment and send it to him here later. Yeah. So tell us about Don and the Better Homes and Gardens back in 87 then when you started?
Yes, and first of all, my husband and I designed because I didn't know a soul. And also, I'm a little embarrassed to tell you, I didn't know how to read a map at 38 years old. I said, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I don't know how to read this thing. So we created a very basic brochure that he put in every crew lounge. And the crew lounge means that's where the pilots, flight attendants, and mechanics go. So every place he landed, he had a pop-up stand and put the brochure in there. And it said, thinking about moving to RDU. And for all of you out there that are in real estate, you can do basic. I'm telling you, looking back at this brochure, it looks so elementary, but it said what he wanted. Are you thinking about moving to RDU as a tear-off? I had the tear-off come to the house. And in those days, we didn't have cell phones. So I had to call everybody on the landline. And I'd call them in the evenings and tell them, I'm a wife of a pilot. I know how it feels. Have you thought about coming to Raleigh, Durham? And we moved in a year and a half before the hub opened. We wanted to get here and get established, and I wanted to get into real estate immediately. I said, so I need to know the area before people start coming. So the first year, everyone but one person was a pilot that came. And but your father would draw everywhere I was going to go. And I have a little secret. I pick people up at the airport and I'd say, I want you to learn the area. I'd give them the map and I'd tell them where we're going. And when they did, they thought I was teaching them the area. What they were doing was telling me where to go.
That's still happening today. That's still happening today. I somehow still drive everywhere we go, which is fine.
But that's how
and what was the average sales price then when you started?
88,000.
So the average sales, that was the average sales price then. So now the average sales price today is $405,000.
Yeah, ours is higher with our team, but for the
for Triangle MLS, yes. So wherever is what we've seen is the growth is pretty amazing. Talk about Raleigh back then.
Small. I came from the Bay Area where I was used to very elaborate, anything I wanted shopping I could get. The restaurants were very basic. Angus Barn was here. I'd ask people, where should we go to eat? And they'd have you gone to Smithville Barbecue? Well, I don't like barbecue.
But Smithville, we like you.
We love Smithville. So anyway, Winston's opened. And for all of you out there, we go to Winston's. It's like going back home every day.
Yeah. Got to get him on the podcast.
I'm telling you, Will.
They've been hard to catch.
That's right. We're going to actually do one with him. And so Winston's came and the restaurant started evolving. The building started to evolve. And Raleigh just started becoming a very, very popular place to live. And I would live nowhere else. I just love it here.
For anybody, guys, we're watching right now, we've got several people watching. If you have any questions, too, for Mom, just type in the comment and I'll bring up your question on the screen. So we'll have some fun there. Something I always kind of laugh about is I remember being young and them talking about 540. And I think Kathy Daly was the agent that helped us. She was
the developer of
Pinonia. And I remember her saying, that's not happening. This is Raleigh. 540 is not coming here. At least that's what I remember. I could be wrong. So do you remember 540? And I remember it when it's got here, but as far as developing, and it's kind of just amazing to see that growth.
Well, when it started, number one, we were told they think there's going to be a proposed freeway called 540, but we don't think it's coming. Well, it came, which is great. And one thing that we had to learn to do in real estate is we had to disclose that it was going to be proposed, but we're not exactly where it's going to be because it wasn't to scale on the map, but it was on the map. But it really opened a lot of opportunities for people because people come from large cities. The way I would go to the airport years ago is they actually had signs with a little directional saying to airport, because I picked your dad up for the first year and a half in real estate and at the airport when I pick him up. But it opened up a lot of opportunities.
Say hey to Joelle. She's watching.
Hello, Joelle.
Cool. So you started in '87, and obviously I think you won Rookie of the Year your first year. You really just didn't know
Rookie
otherwise.
Of the Year internationally. Yeah.
So what propelled you to your success? Like what motivated you to, help people, but not only like reach your goals? Did you have goals when you first started?
My goal was I was going to sell a house a week the first year, which I succeeded. I ended up selling about 60 houses the first year. There was no one to help me. And
a little bit different too back then.
That's right.
What the contract? What was that like? Was
2 pages.
2-page contract, guys.
No inspections. No inspections. There was no agency.
Everyone was nice.
Everybody.
Not saying people aren't nice now,
but it was totally different. There was no agency. So you work for the seller. To this day, I will never get one. So when I went to real estate school, George Bell was my teacher. And I argued with him. I said, I'm working for the buyer. I'm not working with the seller. And he said, I'd have just learned the test and put down your work. And sure enough, it was on the test. But it was, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good. We're talking about the contract.
So the contract
That's how
was
it's evolved. Yeah.
2 pages. Then it went to 3 pages. So we had to have carbon copies.
Yeah.
And then
And you didn't have a showing time or anything back then, huh?
you
We
know
had
what
showing
you do
time
is
guys.
You call the front desk.
Up front desks. Everybody represented the seller too, right?
Everybody represented the seller, but the difference is half the time the agent sellers didn't know you're coming because you'd have somebody at the front desk answering the phone. And this is strictly phone duty, okay?
Yeah, phone duty.
So they would show up.
We'll try not to tap the table
sorry.
here.
And so
this is how it is every day here, though. We're fine.
So all I'm saying to you is it was totally different. It was in some ways more fun because the sellers would meet the buyers. You could talk about everything. And then agency happened in 95 where we had to be very understood that we work for the seller or we work for the buyer. And that was when the sellers and buyers stopped meeting each other.
So you were at Better Homes and Garden for 1 year. Then you were
18 months.
18 months. Then went to Remax. And correct me if I'm wrong, you were the 9th member to join Remax in this area.
9th in the Carolinas.
9th in the Carolinas.
Because Remax was.
She was the 9th member to join in the Carolinas for Remax, guys. All right. So just put that in perspective. Then you were with Remax for how long?
I was with them for 18 years.
Okay.
And then I went to Keller Williams. And all these companies are great. But literally, I'm back because Don Walston he called me and said, I want you back. What do I have to do to get you? And I got to tell you a secret. When I left, he told my broker in charge of Remax I wouldn't last 18 months. He said, she's a pilot's wife. She's not going to make it.
We got to get Don on the show next.
Every time I'd see Don, I'd say, Don, it's been 18 months. Now that it's more than 18 months.
Don is, it was.
And we are best friends. So I introduced him to Laura Brahma. So when I say I love him. So anyway, he literally came to the lobby of Keller Williams. And
so you kind of jumped over that.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So you were at Remax. Then this
Keller
company
Williams.
called Keller Williams started, they were around, and a gentleman named Gary Keller. I remember, so just to give you a little bit of history on my part, I was coaching college basketball. I said, all right, I shocked mom back in 2005 and said, I'm going to come back I want to join real estate. Obviously,
first I thought he was going to tell me Leslie's pregnant because they just got married a year before.
That was a few years down after that. But what I was but I growing up in it, I just said, this is, Mom, it's easy. I'm going to just have buyers and we're going to sell things. And obviously I learned a lot coming in, but I remember getting a call from Gary Keller because you guys were getting interviewed to join the thing. They were trying to. And I got a nice relocation package. So anyway, so that was cool. So you joined Keller Williams. How long were you with them? And Joe Williams was
there
very influential on that too.
2006. And then we came back to HBW in 2011.
And then we had the financial crisis, the recession, and you kind of gone full circle with Don coming back. And it's hard to believe we'll be with HPW for 10 years.
Yeah. So let me also say this to you. Some people will say to me, why don't you have your own company? I do. We have our own company within the company. And I love being with Coldwell Banker because of the international opportunities of relocation. But Coldwell Banker is the #1 company in the world. And I've always been part of a large company. And we very closely, almost, Colleen was looking with me. At that time, you had just gotten started. We were looking for a building that we could buy either in Falls and News or Six Phillips. Because what happened was it wasn't a recession, it was a depression.
Yeah, financial crisis.
It was horrible. And we were told that we were going to have to vacate our building with Keller Williams. And it's, it happened to so many people. It wasn't the company, it was that. So anyway, to make a long story short, we had a lot of companies calling me, asking me to join, but Garrett,
that was part of the package, though.
Right.
If Terb comes, you can come.
That's right.
That was it.
They said
Terb come. Don called, and
he says, Ida, I lost you before.
And Susan Holbrook. I remember them sneaking us into the building.
That's right. We went into the corporate office. Remember?
Yeah, we snuck us in.
So he said, and I was driving Colleen, and at the time I had Greg, who was an awesome person. He worked for me in marketing, and Colleen and Michael were with me, of course. And Don says, I want to take you to lunch. Well, they wanted to go. And I said, no, this is like Match.com. I haven't seen them in a long time. I just want to see how it goes. We had a 4-hour lunch at Winston's. I cannot tell you how many major decisions I have made at Winston's. You don't know. If you don't go to Winston's, you need to go. It's one of my absolute favorite
We'll give
restaurants.
Winston's a plug when
That's
I
right.
post this.
So we decided to come, and in a matter of 2 weeks, they painted the office. They moved all my furniture in. We came in late at night. No one knew who was coming in, and we surprised everybody. And the very first, that was when the newspapers were out, guys. He put on the front page of the real estate section, Ida is back. Ida is home. And best decision I ever made.
I have a question here.
Yes?
What's the number one, this is from Spencer Rivers. What's the number one piece of advice you can give me as a brand new agent in RDU? A new agent joining my parents' team in White Triangle Terb. Maybe you could give me advice on working with your parents. I can do that for sure. So what advice would you give to a brand new agent?
Do not listen to anybody about how hard it is. It's tough to make a living. Don't listen to any negativity. Just get out there and work and do everything you can to learn. And the only way you can learn is to get out there and just do it. All I heard when I started in because I started January of 87, all I heard was, oh, you should have been here when IBM started. I didn't care. I knew people were going to be selling. The first year and a half, I only worked with buyers, but awesome that you're working with your parents. Let me explain to you how it was for me. When Colleen came to me, it was a year and a half before you. She came, she was a manager of BB&T, and we were actually flying to Canyon Ranch, and we're flying first class. We're just so excited to go. She looks over and said, Mom, I want to join the team. And I looked over at her, I said, are you serious? The first thing that went through my mind is, I put her through college. She's got a good job. Do I really want this responsibility? I don't want to support anybody. That was the fear of a parent. And you coming on board, they're thinking, this is a big responsibility. Are you ready? Best decision Colleen and I ever made. She joined April 1st, will be
April
when she,
Fool.
yep. Mm-hmm. And then a year and a half, 2 years later.
I got my license August 1st of 2006.
Yeah. So Michael tells me he wants to join the team. Frankly, I was scared to death. I said, oh my gosh, do I want both of them? What? Because I'd gone through other recessions and the market was great then, but I was hesitant because I didn't want to feel like I was influencing them, nor did I want the public to think that I'm having my kids do this because they couldn't be successful in something else. He had a phenomenal career in coaching. Colleen had a phenomenal career with BB&T, but the highest compliment was the two of you wanting to come work with me and partner with me. I can't tell you, it was the best decision we've ever made. So think of it that way when you work with your parents. They have experience and learn from them, but also they bring a lot of things to me. Like, for instance, I wouldn't be the agent I am today if it wasn't for you and Colleen. They'll say to me, you're thinking like an old person. Don't do this. No one reads the paper anymore and things, because everything was print. So they have brought so much to our team to actually make sure that we are staying ahead of everything. So is that helping you at all in regards to advice? Just get in there. Don't listen to any negativity. Yes, it's harder to have buyers right now because there's no inventory, but you can learn.
Yeah, I would just say too, to that question about working with family, I think obviously you have to have a very good relationship. The biggest thing that I see where a lot of families don't work out together is because over financials or for money. And that never comes up here. And if anything, the hardest challenge we have is not talking real estate. So, but we enjoy what we do. And I'd also would tell you to take the DISC personality test, because that's something, if you're not familiar with, just learning the characteristics of people, how to work with people. And she just mentioned, thanks so much. It's a tough market, but I'm diving in head first because you don't know any different.
You don't know any different.
I didn't know any different when I started in 2006 and had about 6 months of Wild Wild West, as I called it. And then all of a sudden we heard
this is easy.
Yeah, we heard of these things called short sales. And then you start learning how to just adjust. But my suggestion for you is just learn as much as you can, learn your numbers, learn your stats, learn your areas, always be reading, knowing what the market's doing. Because when you go into a situation because everybody looks at this business and it's, that everybody can do this. Obviously, everybody can sell their own home, but they don't know the ins and outs and how you wake up every day unemployed in this business. But to be the expert is the key. And I just enjoy doing that and helping people. So just always be learning. Once you stop learning, that's where I think you can lose your edge. I'm going to a seminar in May. I also hired my first professional coach, David Kesey, a few years ago. I also have another coaching program I'm in. I'm always trying to get better with the accountability. So, just if you don't know any different, just go in there, work, and put yourself around good people in the right mindset. So,
another thing is when you're working together. When I say Michael and Colleen are we are so close, and my sweet hubby's on there. Hi, honey. We are so close. Sometimes I have to take suggestions that I don't want to hear. They'll say, "Mom, listen to us." And some of the best advice came from Colleen in 2008 when I realized that the recession was not going to be short-lived. And she her background was in finance and banking. And she truly helped us to continue to hang on, because there were so many companies that were filing bankruptcy, people losing their homes. And we just buckled down as a family and learning together and just working together. And it's the neatest thing, talking to Colleen and Michael every day, being with them. And we're just a real close family.
What kind of not backtracking, but when you started, how many years did you go until you hired your first assistant? And then talk about starting a team. Like, what made you do that? Because I know a lot of people may be listening to this or watching. I don't think you guys quite understand, if you've just started or you're listening to the podcast, the greatness that is sitting next to me, and the fact that I grew up as her son. So I just always knew Mom as real estate and what she did. She was always there for us, but she just made everything look easy. But I think for people to realize, you were top 3 internationally with RE/MAX. You're number 1 in the Carolinas. The amount of volume you've done, and majority of that early on, you were doing yourself.
The first year and a half, I wasn't a listing agent, and I'd see the same signs over and over again. And I go, I've got to get listings. But the first year and a half, I was by myself. And if anybody knows me, I hate paperwork. And I'd work to the wee hours of the night doing my paperwork, making sure things were correct. And then I was with RE/MAX, and Joe Tanahay was the broker in charge at the time. He said, "You got to get an assistant." I said, "How? Well, I don't have time to get an assistant. I'm too busy." So we put for an assistant. And so we put an ad in the paper. I know you don't know what that is. And I hired.
It's like boosting an ad on Facebook.
That's right. Pat Hilliard was my first assistant. She was my saving grace. We looked alike in a lot of ways. We talked alike. And if anything, it was so hard to hire an assistant, because I'd lean over her. And she'd write something, I'm watching. She goes, "Would you let me do it myself?" And I said, it was so hard to let go. I hired her first. Then I started doing listings. She worked on the listing side as well as the buy side. But then the following year, I hired Benita Mioli. She worked on the closing side, and Pat worked on the listing side. And for 8 years, they worked with me, where I'd go out and I'd come back and sell a house. They just said,
"Look who said hello."
Hello, who is it?
Rob.
Hi, Rob.
He's watching on YouTube.
That's our oldest son in California.
Hey, Rob. He's moving out here. He just doesn't realize it yet.
So all I can say to you is when we got started, it was,
so you joined, you had Pat, Benita, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to hire buyer agents.
Okay. This is a true story, guys. So that was the year I was number 3 internationally. And they flew me out with the top 50 agents with RE/MAX. And we went to it was the headquarters for RE/MAX. And Dave Leonard was there, and everybody else was there. And we had all round tables. And so, I remember conventions. We don't have them now.
Hopefully in 2022.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm excited to
and
travel.
Every person they would say, "Now, how many buyer agents do you have?" And I go, "I don't have any." And smugly, I said, "When they call me, they want me." And the one, I'll never forget, this top agent said, "You're either going to burn out or you're going to have a breakdown, because you cannot continue at this pace." Because I didn't want my children, I didn't want our family to be neglected. So, I just worked all the time, but made time for all of you at the same time. So it was nothing for me.
She did find pretty much every payphone booth.
Oh, yes.
When we're
Disney
on vacation,
World, wherever it was.
we'd be in a port at
Yep.
a cruise, and
They
Sherry's
just knew
mom,
me.
yeah, she's on the phone.
But what I'm saying to you is, I thought, and now I can't imagine not having agents on my team being buyer agents, because I haven't worked with buyers since 1997.
Well, really, me.
And
2006 was the
well, no,
last.
but 1997 is when I hired my first buyer agent, and she's still with me, Gail Welch, and we still laugh about it. And now we've got I've always had
And
buyer
then we have some agents that do listings. So
Yep,
you let go of that. So it's baby steps here.
That was hard for me to do too.
I know. It's just baby steps. We're letting that go. So we could talk for a long time.
Mhm.
If anything, we talk a lot. Let's tell we got a fire truck going by. We got to work on our studio a little bit.
But it's natural.
It's natural. So what are we seeing now in the market?
Never have I seen this before. We have less than 2 weeks worth of inventory across Wake County. Never have I seen this before. So
trying to explain to people that haven't been in the market, they haven't bought in a while, or first-time buyers. The biggest thing I see, and not to interrupt you there, is creating the right expectations with your buyers, especially the buyers. The sellers, their biggest thing is, where are we going to go? Like,
that's
they know,
challenge for them.
they know there's no better time to sell. But you don't really see lateral moves anymore. Now I'm helping a client right now where they're doing a home equity line of credit, or what we call bridge loan, because most of these sellers have their equity in their house, their down payment. But if you try to go into a competitive multiple offer situation, that's what you're going to be in when you write an offer. We can't indicate that you have to sell to buy. Now, of course, let me rephrase that. If you have to sell to buy, then that's a whole other discussion. But because you want to sell to buy just because it's more convenient, it's never going to work. Even if your home is sold and it shows under contract, that used to be a strong offer, because you could show the seller a date in which you're closing, and you could time your closing around that date. Well, that's fine and dandy when you're the only offer, but when you have multiple offers, it's very difficult for a seller to accept that, because it's one more domino that has to fall. So just really having the buyers understand what they're getting into. And where I'm seeing this market, because I still am very involved with buyers and sellers, is that there's a percentage or portion of buyers that are just getting pushed out in this market.
I've actually, about a month ago, and I'm not exaggerating, I listed a home, and now I can say what it was because it's closed. The seller put in, by the way, we have the best team of vendors. So when I go into a home, I always want to prepare the home so we can get top price. Now it's to get multiple offers so you can sell it for more than full price. The due diligence is important, but most of all, you want to be ready to close quickly. And the first thing that Michael and other agents do that you're excellent at is, what is important to the seller? Quite often the seller will say, I can close in 30 days, but I want to have an option to rent back for 30 or 60 days because they don't know where they're going. I only work with sellers. So I'm going to tell you about the seller side. Sellers, and I get a lot of people that have lived in homes for 20, 30 years. They're ready to downsize. So I have the luxury of, most of them already know where they're going because they're buying somewhere else. But there's a lot that says, I want to sell, but I don't know where I don't know where to go. I have convinced sellers, look at it this way: get it sold, get your money, go live in temporary housing. Just go, because you can't rent a house now, they're hard to find. Go to an apartment, rent it for 90 days. There are many, many out there. But when you do that, you have the opportunity, when you see it, you can buy it immediately. And I know that sounds so strange, but if you wait to find what you want and you don't feel comfortable having two house payments, because believe me, a lot of people did that in 2004, 5, and 6. And when the subprime lenders went bankrupt, they were stuck with homes they couldn't sell at the price they thought.
The answer that I give people now is, when they're like, where are we going to go? I just ask them where they want to live.
Right.
Because one thing that with COVID over the last 12 months has done is we've had to work. We were blessed that we were, from our governor, or our state is that we were deemed
Essential.
essential, so we could help people buy and sell. I know several agents outside of North Carolina that wasn't the case, and they were very restricted in what they could do. But what we've all learned is a lot of people are working from home. Like a friend of mine, it's like the first time he's been back in the office in forever.
Yeah.
So a lot of people now, what we're seeing is people moving to the outskirts. They don't necessarily have to be close to work. So it also, too, depends if you have kids, and I understand that. But if you're in a position where I want to go to the beach for 6 months, I want to go to the mountains for 6 months to a year, and I'm going to work virtually. But when the right time is to buy, I'm not going to have anything holding me back to do that. The properties that I see selling right now are people that are moving to another home. They've already got a property. They are building, which they can't build homes fast enough right now.
Yes.
Or it's an investor that the tenants just moved out. And I think we're going to see more of investors selling in the next 3 to 5 months over the summertime due to leases expiring, and they want to capitalize on their equity in the house.
I was going to say something that I feel like what I want all of you to hear, that it's a seller's market now, but it always changes. So as a buyer, we have them. Our agents are also professional, and they've learned. Michael is basically our coach for the agents, and he has taught them and educated them that you've got to make sure that you guide that buyer for their expectation, because some buyers still feel like that they can negotiate.
Well, I love the buyers say, I don't want to get in a bidding war.
Yeah, well, you're going to.
Well, I tell buyers their victory is getting the house. At a rate that's at a low 3s, high 2s, depending on where the rates are at the time. Victory for you is getting the house.
But also, when you buy the house, yes, you may pay $20,000 over, but you'll make that will all it's all going to catch up, and then you will not be overpaying. You're paying. This is what I tell sellers. Right now, the demand is more than the supply. So if you are all thinking at all about selling, I've been doing this for so long. I tell sellers this is the time to do it. Also, luxury homes have never sold the way they're now. Mm-hmm. And luxury homes are anything over $800,000 or $900,000. And we're selling $1 million homes like we've never sold before.
We're also, and that's, I think, indicative of people moving from different parts of the country that look at our $1 million homes, and it'd be $3 or $4 million where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot of people moving from California, DC,
New Jersey,
Connecticut, up north. Not so many halfbacks, as we call it. We go New York, Florida, then come back halfway. But a lot of people can't get here fast enough because, one, we've been ranked number 1 or top places to live, not only in the technological field with RTP, but the universities, the schools. We have beaches a couple hours away, mountains a few hours away. Taxes are relatively low in consideration to other parts of the country. So it's just a phenomenal place to live. We actually have 4 seasons most of the time here. We
just didn't get our snow this year.
Well, we usually have 4 seasons in one day here in North Carolina. There's times we'll wake up, it's 37 degrees, and by afternoon it's 80, and then of course we'll have rain and who knows, but it's just a great place to live. So I people are asking me too, when's the other shoe gonna fall? Like, when's the bubble gonna pop? And I just said, look, first of all, you can't compare our market now to 10 years ago. It's just completely apples and oranges on how we got to each part of this, the case. I mean, in January of 2009, we had a 19-month supply of homes. We had over 20,000 listings.
I had 100 listings.
We had over 20,000 listings in the market in the county or Triangle MLS. Just for fun, a couple weeks ago, I asked the team, I said, hey, let me know how many active listings are in Wake County, single family.
Hard to believe.
And then let me know how many are under contract. And there was slightly over 800 homes for sale and over 4,000 pending.
Pending means 30 days or less.
I don't know how long it's going to take. I think it's going to take a while to get that supply, but we're going to see.
I was going to say one thing if I can.
One more thing.
There are a lot of people that did not list this year because they wanted to find out what was going to happen with COVID. Now with the vaccine, so many people are feeling more comfortable. We're going to start seeing more sellers listing their homes. So I want you to understand, as buyers, it's going to change. Yep. But we had a year of people, so many people, unless they could leave the house, they didn't want people to come in, and it restricted people to want to sell their homes.
One topic that we'll talk about, because I'm going to cut this up. This is going to be great to have individual little clips, is forbearance. So forbearance, we learned a lot about what forbearance was a year ago. For many of you, don't even know what that word is or what it means, but a year ago, obviously, we got hit with COVID-19. And remember, it was only supposed to last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Well, what lenders were doing is they allowed forbearance for homeowners because obviously we didn't cause this pandemic. I mean, it wasn't like 2009 where we were fiscally irresponsible and it was a crisis financially. Here, they gave sellers the ability to pause their mortgage payments at the original 3 months.
Now it's to the end of June.
Yeah, and they've been extending it. So these sellers haven't been making payments. Now, it's not hurting them, but obviously when they go to sell, they're going to have to pay the amount that they owe. So it's almost like a little, it's not, but it's similar to a balloon payment when you close, because when you close, you're going to have a payoff and it's going to account for all the months that you had deferred payments. Mm-hmm. So we're also going to see in the next, and I've heard June, I've heard it almost, and it could be extended till the end of the year. But when those deferred payments or forbearance gets lifted, people are going to start making payments again, and they may be able to do that. However, if I'm that seller and I may want to capitalize on my equity, maximize, right, and still make money, that's something I also think we're going to see an influx of listings.
Well, and we're gonna have, again, so many people had to do, again, let me explain the difference between forbearance and deferred.
Well, a lot of people, I think, don't really understand, because I think so much of this is lender dependent, because even when I talk to our preferred lenders, they don't give us straight answers. It's talk to your bank and what they're going to do.
What I'm saying to you is deferred means that let's say you do not make a payment for 10 months and it's $3,000 a month, and all of a sudden 10 months you have to pay. You owe $30,000. And if you're a family that says, oh my goodness, I don't have $30,000, but you've got $150,000 in equity, you sell that home and then you can move somewhere else. And so many times you want to either get bigger or smaller, but it doesn't affect your credit. I want to make sure everyone understands that. It just means deferred means it's going to be put at the end of your mortgage balance will be larger. Forbearance, so many people think forbearance means the same thing. It's not. Forbearance means you do not do the end of the mortgage. You have to pay when that forbearance is over. You've got to pay a lump sum. So deferred means you're going to just have a larger payment or mortgage at the end, and forbearance means you're just having it deferred, and that's what's so misleading people. Forbearance just means you're not having to make payments. It's not affecting your credit, but when it's due, you have to pay a lump sum. It's not put at the end of your mortgage.
It's going to be interesting times.
Yeah.
All we can do is just take every day as it comes, help as many people as we can help, put them in the right position to win. And what's impressive too, Mom, is that you started in 1987. How many recessions have you been through?
We went through the savings and loan, which was from 89 to 91. That was short-lived. Then we went through, they call it the high-tech recession. Our recession started in September of 99, and I could see something was happening. We had a lot of layoffs.
That was the dot-com.
Yeah,
basically.
It was, yes. But then when 9/11 happened, it really went into full force, but it only lasted from 99 to 2004 to 5, which again, a long time seemed that time, but it was short-lived.
Then we took off, and then
subprime lenders went bankrupt July 21st of 2007. And Miss Tammy Rowe was a dear friend of mine and a lender. She called me and said, Ida, how many homes are you have under contract right now? And I said, 50. She said, how many closings do you have today? And I remember I'm standing in the hallway of my other office, and I said, 3. She said, make sure they get recorded, because we went from 50 closings down to 5 because everything was backed by subprime lenders.
Yeah.
So, that was.
And now you've gone out into that, and now we're into, I mean, what I'm getting at is when you're great at something,
you adapt to the market.
Exactly.
I became a short sale specialist.
You adapt. You're a chameleon. It's like my wife will ask me, "Are you ever concerned?" I'm like, no, because I know I'm good at what I do.
You are excellent. You're not good. You're excellent.
And I also know this is a relationship business, and people are going to gravitate and always want to work with good people. So I always like in being an agent, we're problem solvers. And so my background being a coach, we're always thinking and helping people win. And we may not win all the time, but we have a pretty good batting average. We've got a pretty good percentage of that. So
I'm going to say one thing. People, when you work with them, know if you sincerely care.
Right.
I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to list a home and I told them they shouldn't sell.
Mhm.
And they go, well, don't you want to sell my home? I said, yes, but this is not the best time for you. Or I tell them, I'm always honest with people and want them to know I treat them the way I'd want to be treated.
All right. Well, I got a few other questions, and then we're going to take a small break, and then we're going to talk about even more fun stuff, the local brewery of the week.
All right.
A couple things. So where do you see the Ida Turbo Group in 5 years?
I will still be 100% involved.
No kidding.
I love what I do. Michael and Colleen will be always partners. And our team will continue to grow and be successful. We have the best agents on our team. Half of them work with sellers and buyers. The others are buyers agents. But when I don't mean to sound corny, but we truly are a family with our team. I care about each and every one of them. So what I see 5 years from now is us to continue to grow and succeed. Every year we do better than we did before. And we're going to adapt, whatever the market is.
What is the most rewarding thing that you like about what you do?
Truly seeing people happy and seeing people succeed what they think they're going to be getting on a home or getting their home sold, where they feel they've had attention from the moment we list the paperwork to closing, but seeing them really happy and just thrilled with the experience. That's what makes me really, really happy.
I think
I want them to be thrilled.
I think that we deal with a lot of emotions in this business. You know, there's bad days, good days, like anything else, but there's nothing better than, for example, talking to my buddy, getting his wife on a conference call, telling her I need to ask her a question, and then telling her to start packing, you know, and the scream or the yell on the other line, or helping people move, turning those chapters of their lives to something else is pretty cool to do. And that they rely on us to do that is really humbling and rewarding.
And when I go to a home, I do everything from helping them prepare the home, stage the home, get the vendors for them. I go back, I'm involved from the beginning to end. And I've had people say to me,
you can't go with this show without not talking about
Andre Sorrell. I'm telling you, he's from
We keep him pretty busy.
He does probably 90% of his work is with us. We have a system.
And no agents, you can't have them because we keep them too busy.
Too busy. But I guess when you said what is most rewarding, it's truly they become friends of mine, and years later 20 years, and they'll say, I want to sell my home, and it just means a lot. But what's really cool is seeing you work with their children. And now little kids come up to me, oh, you remind me of my grandmama. Or children that are grown like him, you know, they remember. It's just fun seeing.
Well, it's also cool when you sell a house, and then 5, 7, 8 years you've sold them a house, and you're selling. I have clients where I've helped 5, 6 times over now. It's pretty cool to see. Spencer commented again. This is a pretty cool comment. I like it. It says, "I can't wait for that moment for me." So that talking, telling people that they've won. So this is pretty cool because I want to know this answer. Best thing or moment in your career?
Ooh, when I was up on stage and I was number 3rd internationally with Remax, I worked so hard. But also being number 1 in the Carolinas, Pat Cross, she was another agent with Remax. And I was Susan Lucci. For 10 years, she beat me. I was number 2 with Remax. She'd be number 1. So when I succeeded, went up on stage, it was a personal goal that I had.
Great moment.
It was a great moment. I think another thing is financially being able to do I always wanted you kids to have the things I didn't have. Being able to have that financial freedom. It's not a time, but it's mainly where I was able to do what we wanted to do.
Exactly. And then lastly, what is the best advice you've ever been given and by who? I asked every guest on the Super Terb Podcast this question, and I get all great answers.
First of all, your dad. When I got into this business, he just always said, and he always says the same thing, just do the right thing and tell the truth. And whatever you do, never, ever, ever try to cover something up. Always be 100% honest. And I have always followed that. Your dad has always been my back, and I make a joke, but he's the wind under my wings. He's very, I'm the talker. He's the one more conservative.
But he gives,
yeah, that'd be great. The best advice that he gave me was always just tell the truth, be honest, and everything else will fall in place. Another thing he told me when I first got started, he goes, Ida, result all that matters. Keep doing what you're doing and you will succeed. That's all that matters. Results show what you're doing.
That's great. I mean, one thing you've told me is take money out of it and do the right thing.
That's right.
I think a lot of
people,
a time,
yep.
Trying to do the right thing. That's always key. Well, cool. This has been fun. We're not done yet, though.
Okay.
We got to talk about the local brewery of the week.
Okay.
So, but if you guys have any questions, I know that we could go on forever. We obviously love what we do, but if you have any questions, whether you're a new agent, agents in general, you are looking to buy, you're looking to sell, shoot us a message. We're here to help you guys in any way. It's amazing too, just the calls or texts we get on who do we need, who do you know that can help us paint or do a renovation or landscaping.
Go to our website. We have great vendors.
We're here to help you guys in any way. So going to take a quick break. And on the other side, we're going to wrap up the show and we're going to talk about the local brewery of the week.
Great.
And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert in the Raleigh-Durham Triangle area, a.k.a. Super Terb, a.k.a. Coach Terb. Have Ida Terbet, a.k.a. head coach, still with me. And everything, what I've been doing with this show, because I do like beer. I'm trying to monitor that my best I can. But I try to highlight a local brewery or local beer of the week here in the Triangle. And because we have so many good options in today's local brewery, because I don't have any beers with me, but the local brewery of the week is Linwood Brewing Company. They're located, they actually have a tap room on East Whitaker Mill Road, and then they have a restaurant right off Glenwood, near Lynn Road in Glenwood. They were established in 2004. But they have a phenomenal tap room. I love their beer. Probably my favorite beer is called D's Coconuts. I'm not making that up. It's a coconut porter.
You have some in our refrigerator.
Yep. I have a coconut porter. It's 6%, so not too strong, but it's delicious. So go check them out. If you go, tell them Terb sent you. I think you love it. I mean, make sure we continue sport. I know we've now raised the capacity of restaurants. We're hopefully slowly getting back to normalcy. I know we have some time to go there, but go check them out. Support local. Always call ahead though, just to make sure they're open or they have the right hour. So I'll make sure I have their contact info in the comments. But as always, I always like to plug my friends Taylor's Wine Shop in North Raleigh, Six Forks Road. They are directly across from where I grew up, Pannonia. I always make the joke that was the street I couldn't cross.
Till he was 16.
Yeah, it's been there a long time. It's been there over 40 years. Yeah, I could drive across. So I couldn't go across the street. And then another place that I love to go is D's Bottle Shop. I live in Bedford in North Raleigh, so they're right by Wakefield Tavern, another great establishment, but they have local beers on tap or, beers from all over. You can get growlers and, pick up what you want. So go check them out again and tell them Terb sent you. Is there anything else you want to say?
I just want to say how proud I am of you and Colleen and my team. And we're only as good as the people we surround ourselves with. And the people that work, I'm going to plug the people that work for us. Lauren Setzer is our closing manager and office manager. She's phenomenal. And Katie and Rachel, they work on the listing side. But without them, my job wouldn't so easy. And then the agents, on our couriers, we have, that's another thing that we have courier. We call them field care specialists, but they put out the flyers, the booklets, our vacant houses. They check on them, make sure that everything is working, that we don't have any surprises of anything leaking, the toilets are clean, everything. But you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And Michael, I couldn't be more proud.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. No, I've had a good time with this. And so anyway, guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. This was a lot of fun. You may actually need to do this more often.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So make sure you guys, if you can, please subscribe, iTunes, Spotify. Please like my Facebook page, my Facebook business page, YouTube. Leave hopefully a 5-star and a review. It really mean a lot. And until next week, it's fun. I have multiple guests coming on. They want to be on here. If you're a local business owner, coach, you're in business, anything, come on. I'd love for you guys to tell your story. So again, it's Michael Terbet and Ida Terbet. You're a local real estate experts with the Ida Terbet Group, Coldwell Banker, HPW. And as I'll always say, guys,
who you work with matters.
I love it. All right, we'll see you guys next week. We'll see you.